Hey guys, it's Dorr with Tactical Hyve. In today's video, we're going to be doing a review on the SIG Romeo 5. This little guy has impressed me over the last couple of years, and we're going to get into it, so stay tuned. So, gentlemen, ladies, everybody in between, this is the SIG Sauer Romeo 5. This is the plain Jane regular one. Now, I gotta say, this is the first purpose-built for civilians, low-cost optic I've ever really messed with. Up until a few years ago, all I'd ever used were the make models that we were issued, mainly Aimpoint, EOTech, and Trijicon, as far as red dots. But we were in this, I guess, renaissance of the lower cost budget, if you want to call them that, red dots that just work, they run. Well, Coach had a whole bunch of them. He had Holosons, I'd never even heard of that company, and he had a bunch of these SIG Sauer Romeos. And from what I'd heard at the time, SIG poached a bunch of engineers from some of those top tier companies, and they started up their own optics line, and obviously now in 2023, everybody knows how well that went for them. And this is their kind of base starting out model, the SIG Romeo 5. I purchased, I believe, 3 of these in January of 21, and I also bought a Romeo 4 to go along with it. And I put this one on one of my ARs, and I left it on there till about a few months ago when I was forced to start using the Romeo 4 for review. But honestly, that's the only reason I took it off, and that's the only reason I stopped using it. It doesn't have all the big bells and whistles or accoutrements of some of the higher end stuff, but man, it's a very sturdy optic. Well, so starting out, what do you get in the box? Well, obviously you get the Rome 5. It comes stock with this 1.41 inch riser, and then it has a detachable lens cover. You know, not ideal having them permanently mounted on there, or even the shoot-through variants that you see on higher end stuff is, you know, mo better. But it does protect it during transport, you know, in the safe, etc. And it's fairly easy to get on and off. Inside the box, and it is a sturdy box that has withstood the test of time. Get a little packing foam. You get the booklet, instruction owner's manual. It's got everything in there you need to know. It comes with a foam insert to keep it protected. You've got your low mount, you know, low riser mount, and this is designed more for pistols, SMGs, shotguns, things where you don't need, you know, where your sights, your irons are really low down the barrel anyway. I haven't used this one. I haven't had any reason to, but I'm sure it works as well as the other one. A little silica gel to keep things dry. A lens cloth for wiping off your lens. And this handy dandy little torque wrench used for getting it on and off of the weapon system. It does not have a quick disconnect. So you're gonna want that little wrench key. You can switch back and forth from the high-low mount. So going back to when I first got this thing, again, I was brand new to SIG optics. I'd never used any of them before. I could definitely tell it was a little more basic than what I was used to, but again, that's okay. I think I paid about 150 bucks for it, and they're going for less than that on Amazon right now, so they have come down in price. The controls, you know, are pretty self-explanatory. For the brightness settings, you just hold down on the plus to turn it on, hold down on the minus to turn it off, and it has 10 different settings, 8 for the naked eye and 2 for night vision, and you can switch back and forth as you see fit based on your environment. As far as adjustments, you've got the windage running along the right side, the elevation running across the top. Neat enough, you go ahead and unscrew these protection caps, and they have a little tool built into the top of them that fits down in this groove, and this is what you use to adjust. And there is a plus minus 40 MOA adjustment on each. Just gotta make sure you get these caps back on and they're tight enough not to fall off, but not too tight to not get back off. Just like so. And I haven't had any issues with this thing shifting or drifting or losing its dope. It was shot on a 11.5-inch 5.56 barrel. And again, haven't had any issues. The dot is standard red dot. It doesn't change color. You can't change the reticle on these. Again, this thing is bare bones basic, and that doesn't bother me at all because all I want is that red dot. I don't need anything else gumming up my reticle, anything else making it that much harder to see in high or low visibility conditions, because it can change rapidly. It can go from being able to see very nice on a very nice day like this, and then you go into a cave or a structure where there's no electricity, that can get really dark really fast. And I think just having that red dot is a little bit more forgiving when you're coming and going from those different environments. But hey, that's just me. So again, it's got a 2 MOA dot, which is what I'm used to. EOTechs and aim points generally come with 2 MOA dots, at least the ones that we get issued in the service. So it was no adjustment or follow-on training needed there. The dot's pretty crisp and clear. I wouldn't say it was maybe as refined as some of the more modern or high-end offerings, but still very decent. I have no complaints. This thing is IPX7 rated waterproof, and that basically just means it's swimmable. You can drop them into the shallow end of a swimming pool, leave them there for up to 30 minutes. So if you had to hop in the water, in and out of a boat, whatever, it's gonna be fine. If you're out in the wilderness for a prolonged period of time and it's raining cats and dogs, you're gonna be okay. It just has that basic swimmable, is what we call it, capability. But yeah, you wouldn't be able to dive these things, nor would I want to take them up into extremely high altitudes. But you know, not what it was built for. It's just for standard civilian, maybe even law enforcement use. And just another added bonus for that IPX7 waterproof rating that we talked about is it's also fog proof. You know, I've had this thing out in fairly frigid temperatures. I did buy them in Montana during January. And then, you know, here, you know, in the fairer, warmer climates, it still does get cold at night, still does get cold in the morning, especially in the wintertime. And it also gets very, very hot. And I haven't had a single fogging issue with this optic at all. So for what that's worth, if anybody else has had any fogging issues, you know, hit us up in the comments, let us know how that came about. But you can expect these things to come out of the box waterproof, you know, swimmable to heavy rain level waterproof, and as far as I can tell, completely fog proof. So again, just an added bonus. Battery compartment runs along the right side. Just like with your, you know, shifting your dot for windage and elevation, the cap screws right off. It runs along the right side, forward of the windage knob. And it takes a CR2032 battery, which are those flat washer circular ones. It's got a gasket on it. The gasket, to this day, looks brand new. It's very well protected, and it maintains the water seal fairly well. I haven't had any issues with this thing. It has gotten wet. I haven't dropped it in a puddle or taken it swimming, so for what that's worth. But I'm not worried about this thing in the rain or, you know, spilling Gatorade or water on it or any of the little things that might happen during, you know, serious LARPing. As far as range time with this guy, I've got quite a bit. Mostly on the pistol range, teaching classes, doing demos, making videos. I've been out in the scrub brush a little bit, moving around with it. And it has no issues, guys. The brightness settings, I've been able to, at the height of the bright sunny day, all the way down into evening and very low light shooting, I've been able to find a setting that works well. I've also paired this thing up with night vision, and it does great. Typically, back when I was running around with a red dot and night vision, I didn't use the night vision settings. I like just having a very low red setting so that for any reason I needed to pop my nods up and go white light, naked eye, I would have a good enough red dot. In low light conditions, you know, a very low red, you know, visible with the naked eye setting can pretty much get you in and out of any decent sized room. If I was gonna have to take longer shots, maybe I'd bump it up 1 or 2 clicks. But that's just how I ran. I've never been a fan of the purpose night vision settings, but I'm not saying that there isn't a time and place for them. You know, it's just my personal preference. But again, have not had to readjust, resight this thing in. Once you get it onto a particular upper or platform and you get it good to go, that's it. I do run iron sights on most of my weapon systems. My primaries, I'm a firm believer in co-witness and being able to always switch out dots and co-witness them to my irons, but that's just me. I have co-witnessed this one as well as some of the other ones, and it works the same as any other red dot that I've ever used from any of the major flagship manufacturers. So some of the cool features that this thing does have, okay? Yes, it is swimmable waterproof. Yes, it does have 10 settings to include 2 night vision. So one of the coolest features of this thing that you don't find on some of the older, more expensive offerings, but obviously I think all the modern ones do have it, is the ability to shake awake. So what does that mean? It has motion activated illumination powers, all right? You turn this thing on, you set it to the brightness you want, it's sighted in, it's ready to go, and then you just simply put the weapon system down. And after a few minutes, it shuts off. It goes dormant, it shuts the battery off, you're saving that supposed 40,000 hour battery life. As soon as you pick the gun back up, boom, it turns on, as if it was never off. And that is a pretty awesome feature to have. You get this thing right where you want it, you sight it in, you set the dot brightness, it's all good to go. You mount it, you stow the weapon system, and boom, as soon as you need it, this thing is on, ready to go. There's no messing around with the buttons or anything like that. I thought that was a pretty awesome feature for the price point, guys. I mean, these things are well under 150 bucks now. So for the past couple years, I've been using this thing casually, haven't taken it overseas or done anything too nuts with it. I have done a lot of dynamic, I do teach and participate in dynamic ranges where you're running around, maybe your gun's running into things. Also quite a bit of CQB here on the channel. We teach that as well in our classes, and I haven't had any issues. This thing definitely does have some wear and tear. It did get used, but as far as durability and craftsmanship, I mean, this thing is holding up as well as any other sight I've ever used. And, we're talking, at my last job, it was Aimpoint M2 comps, followed by a whole slew of EOTech offerings, and then also like the T2 micros and the Trijicon. I've also seen guys using those Trijicon like MROs or whatever those are called. I never use those too much, but guys do have them. And this thing is held up as well as any of them, I'm telling you. Things that I would like to have seen are permanently mounted lens cover caps, preferably the shoot-through kind, lanyards on the adjustment and battery caps, things like that, a quick disconnect. But that's not the Romeo 5. The Romeo 5 is built for economy. It's built to get you down to the lowest price point possible, but still give you a good solid optic that works. And that's what SIG did with this, man. They really knocked it out of the park. I recommend them, especially if you're a volume kind of shooter. You have a lot of platforms, you need a lot of dots. You're looking to maybe help somebody else get into shooting. I recommend this, honestly, for the same reason I recommend like Glock 19s. It's just a great starting point. They work, you can put them on just about any weapon system. I haven't heard of anybody having problems with these things rattling off. Though I have not used one on like a full-size 7.62 or 308. If you have, hit us up in the comments, let us know how it went. I have used these on many, many different AR platforms. I've used them on PSA Jackals, SIG Rattlers. I've even seen a pistol or two with them on there. Those weren't mine though. And this thing works, man. It worked. And I recommend them, for what that's worth. If you guys like the video, if you like this review, go ahead and give me a like. Subscribe if you haven't already done so. Check out our back catalog. We've got reviews on other stuff. Our reviews are end user reviews. We try to give you guys as much insight as to what we look for in equipment, and durability, dependability, reliability. Those are obviously the most important thing. And for what this thing is, it does all of that. So if you guys want a more in-depth look into this thing, we do have a print article on the website, and it's going to give you every single little detail and nuance that this thing has. So if you want a more in-depth dive, guys, definitely check out our print article that we have on our website, tacticalhyve.com. Anyway, this is Dorr. Thanks for being here with me. Out.